right? But let me digress a bit to Evie's point that our history is unique. I went to school outside Liberia. And to be frank with you, I had Ghanaians standing up to me and telling me some of the very Ghanaian taught in our university. And maybe Evie would even remember some of them. One of them called Dr. Arthur. He was in his accounting area department, what have you. This guy was always making mockery of Liberians. That we are boastful, but we forgot to know that we're being redeemed by slaves who opened our eyes. And so I came to the conclusion that we as a people, we've been stigmatized by wounded slaves who opened our eyes as a nation. And sometimes I see it to be very shameful to live in a country that are being inherited by slaves. You see, it really embarrassed me, to be very frank with you as a citizen. It really embarrassed me a lot. You see, because it's like we are being called slave descendants. All right, without them, we couldn't have succeeded. These are people who were never Liberians. They came from different part of Africa and was seeking for the homeland. And the homeland they came across, it was occupied. You had indigenous occupying that land, you see? So I don't think our history is unique. You cannot get unique history that is characterized by slaves who came to redeem you. So that's not a unique history at all. You never fought for your own independence, all right? Group of people who came, brought their lifestyle, and carry on the same segregation they suffer, marginalized the people the same way they were marginalized in the plantation farms in the United States. Then we said it is this same freedom that brought us here. Freedom did not bring my people in that place. But here is the argument. If this thing should be narrowed to Negro or Negro descent, then why can't it be also inclusive of other African descent? Since we believe that Liberia should be a migrant state, I think this is where we're driving at now. Liberia should be a migrant state. Do we know why the late President Todman instituted and enforced the open door policy? Just to buttress this phrase.
Yes, we all know you can form an LLC by yourself, but doing it on your own doesn't come with the guidance, the clarity, or the...
Open Liberia up for foreigners to come and help. You see, there where our leniencies started. You see, there where people came and started to abuse this little society. People are not coming to Liberia because they love the land. They're coming to Liberia because of our link with the United States, and through that, they can get opportunity to come to the United States. Now it's even worse. A lot of people are flocking into the system now because our laws are flexible. Our politicians are feeding on Lebanese as parasites, you see? And so at the end of the day, they have undercut a whole lot of stuff. Least we forget, since 2023, exclusive indigenous have been running Liberia up to today. Or let's go back. Let's go from 1980. When 1980, I can't include it there because when Doe finally launched his revolution, he had to fall back again on some of the Congo boys that Emmanuel Shaw come into the system to prop him up. So it was a mixture one. But let's say from 2023 up to present, we have an exclusive indigenous politician hegemony running that system there, right? So they are feeding on the Lebanese and feeding on the Indians and other foreigner in the system to compromise some of our laws in that country. Like for instance, Mr. Nangwe, we're even talking about the issue of a Lebanese man selling a planting chip. That's an abuse to our sovereignty. Who are we as a people? But because of the danger of these type of laws, they come and marry my sister, and they have a child, and that child automatically become a Liberian, and now they have a store. The child have all right to sell a banana chip, planting chip in our store because the child is a Liberian. You see? So at the end of the day, if you grab that Lebanese guy now and try to send him out of Liberia, the first thing he will tell you, say, I'm a Liberian. I got my child here. All right?
Children can't transfer citizenship to their parents.
No. We think practically these things are not working because of the weaknesses of our society. They're not working. A Lebanese man will stand before you and tell you, say, I'll kill you and nothing can happen to me. And that's a fact. That is a fact. So they are exploiting the system. And we have got our indigenous since 2003 running our society. So the question now is, where is the missing link? Thank you.
Anthony, before you go to Mr. Nama, please give me 30 seconds. I know it's a hard discussion. Look, Mr. Dr. Jones, let me say this to you. Mr. Nama here knows I disagree with what the settlers and the founders of the country did domestically. But I'm united with them in purpose when it comes to fighting the historical oppressors of Black people on this globe. To say that they were slaves is inaccurate in the first place. A lot of them were free men. A lot of them were free people, some who had never been enslaved. They came from people who were enslaved. Enslavement is a state of being. You know, nobody is a slave by nature. You can be enslaved and you can be free. Once you're free, you're no longer enslaved. So these people had a noble idea to found a nation where they could be safe. The idea, the principle of those things are something that we should all admire as Black people. Our skin say that we should be unified with these people in purpose. Now, you can argue about some of the things that took place on the land. That's our domestic issues like family. We can fight amongst ourselves in our household. But when it comes to standing against those who oppress us and put our people in slavery, you know, and discriminated against Black people purely based on their skin, if us Africans was here during that time, we would have been treated the same way that you did those Black people who are in America. So we're not against them in that purpose. But let me say this. If we are not protecting ourselves by enforcing our laws, that's on us. That's on us. So I keep saying that. The reality is the laws was there to protect us. And maybe because we didn't go through slavery in this country, our ancestors didn't go through slavery, as Africans, we don't understand what it means to be truly independent and have exclusionary laws to keep your historic oppressors away from you. The reason we're even in this country is because of the African Americans who fought for the rights to have, you know, civil rights in this country. They fought to have the 14th Amendment passed in this country so that we as African Black people can come to this country and have citizenship. So I disagree with them on the domestic things that happen in Liberia, but overall, I stand with them when it comes to Black unity and African unity, you know, against white oppression. I stand with them. Thank you, Anthony.
So we can all conclude on